Hey guys, good morning. It is January 11th, 2026. What you see in the background is mostly just a simulation of a wandering, browsing School of Tomorrow student just following hypertrails, as I call them. We kind of have a dark ride model, and by dark ride, I mean, at a theme park when you go into an interior space and you're usually riding along a track. Disney's famous for these. They're just called dark rides because they're indoors. Small World, Pirates of the Caribbean, those kind of things. Dark does not mean that they're noir in the noir movie sense. Like the theme could be dark, but it could be happy, right? So dark ride does not mean any particular theme, but theme park, it is a theme park. So this kind of jargon is going to help you to follow the tracks through these partially overlapping hypertrails, you could call them. It's also a good metaphor to just think of clambering around in a mountain range with trails more or less marked, some well marked, some quote unquote off the beaten path. So that's what's going on in the background, and it will reinforce what I'm talking about here in the foreground, where I'm going to do a little bit of book reporting. I'm going to bring up Marshall McLuhan, and I'm going to bring up this book, which is very McLuhan-esque in its flavor. It's called I Seem to Be a Verb. Now, I would suggest Synergetics Dictionary if you're familiar with that to find out more about the Bucky Fuller, Marshall McLuhan relationship. Realize that McLuhan is a Canadian. That's an important theme for us. Lots of important Canadian players in World Game, we could say. So Marshall McLuhan, he's a Canadian intellectual, and he's correctly realizing that the media of the day, in his case going from largely print onwards to, I just realized there's another book I want to show here. I think I'll hit pause for a second and go get that book. Yeah, so I left this one downstairs. This one is called, now EST, it stands for Electronic Social Transformation. This is called The Steersman's Handbook, EST. And there's a Buckminster Fuller liking it in the cover. And you might think, oh, this must have something to do with this S training thing that happened later, quite a bit later in terms of years. But the Marshall McLuhan tie-in is pretty strong. Here, this guy's arguing that as television is wrenching a lot of people away from a lexical orientation, they're not going to be big readers anymore. They're going to be big viewers. People are going to want to get their information beamed at them through a CRT right into the brain. There's a famous Bjork, in Iceland, falling in love with the Sony Trinitron, realizing that, no, this is too seductive to go by. Everyone gets sucked into television and screens, and McLuhan kind of ends his story because he has a finite lifespan, as we all do, and what he sees is we're all moving into this kind of post-literacy in a way. He's seeing the fading away of lexical culture, and what's that going to do to our minds, our brains, also the immediacy of everything. Global telecommunications, we've got our face everywhere now. We can see everything relatively, right? It's still a lot that's opaque, a lot of secrets. I mean, it's not like we're omniscient or anything, but we have so much more information, and it leaves us a lot of the time feeling powerless. Okay, so he, in S, this book, talking about the book, you can read about it in Wikipedia and elsewhere. He's saying those who can retain both skill sets, left and right brain, stay lexical and be fluent in television, you're going to have real advantage in terms of your tools of persuasion are going to be yours. Rhetoric is, you're going to have an easy time relative to those who've over-specialized one way or the other. However, what happens with this stuff in McLuhan? We go to the internet age and the screens get sharper and sharper, and we don't even use CRTs anymore mostly. and the resolution is so high that it's easy to read on the screen, and all that lexical stuff, everything about reading, it's now more like medieval times where the goal was to have backlit sacred scrolls or stuff. You know, those manuscripts the monks used to pore over at night, they had candles behind sort of glass and sheepskin and all, and it was illuminated from behind. You wonder about all that illumination, all those drawings in those old books. Well, it has a lot to do with they are proto browsers like we are, and they're reading the screens, what would pass for screens in those days. So I'm just saying we need a new McLuhan. So I'm looking to Canada maybe to produce, or maybe there's one out there. So the seminar topic would be who's the new McLuhan, or how would we take a McLuhan-esque approach to this recombining of the two streams, the lexical and the graphical. They're coming back together. They have come back together in a way he might not have anticipated. Another book, and talking about that EST and EST and all that, this Inventor of the Future, The Visionary Life of Buckminster Fuller by Alec Navala Lee. This came out not so long ago. Look how thick. It's like 600 pages. It's very well documented. He went into the Stanford archives and got firsthand access to a lot, so he gave himself 2 years to write it. However, there's more to be said about a lot of this stuff. Kenneth Snelson, EST. I have a lot of firsthand knowledge. I was webmaster for Kenneth. I was involved in EST pretty much, and I write about it. I chronicle everything. So use this as a jumping off point, Alec's book. But if you want to go deeper into it, move into a higher level of fluency about the Bucky stuff, you need to check out my stuff. That's what School of Tomorrow is going to help you do, and you'll learn Python, and you'll learn synergetics for real. You can't really learn synergetics from Alec's book. He didn't have time to really get into that. Another offbeat book that I want to thank Crescent City for this one is called Freedom's Ferment. It's going to be hard to find this probably you can probably get it on Amazon. Why it's useful: utopian socialism, utopias of religious origin, religious communism, millennialism and spiritualism, transcendentalism. The premise here is you have a lot of communities, not vast, one size fits all, everyone on the same page kind of continent or something. You have regional variation, you have ethnicities, you have people experimenting with different lifestyles. That's what we started with Emerson Thoreau type things in those days. The transcendentalists, who were sort of, they're post-Napoleonic, post-Civil War in some cases. We've got Walt Whitman, we've got Margaret Fuller, Fuller's great aunt, Bucky Fuller's great aunt. All these folks, they want to try stuff. They want to say, okay, let's run these communities on democratic principles, or try this, try that. And this was the New World. It was kind of tabula rasa. The Native Americans had been here, and they had tried a whole bunch of stuff too. And it was interesting to see, Confederacy, we could federate like the Iroquois, which have another name. I was asking Perplexity about the influence of all those institutions on the U.S. in its early days. I ask AI lots of stuff, right? I'm not against using AI. I was asking why people understand about an activist named Kiyoshi Kuramiya, but they only study him from the activist side up to a point, and then when he starts working with Buckminster Fuller, all the sort of intelligence goes away. People no longer have anything to say in the universities about that part of Kiyoshi's career, and that's just, in general, I think, there's been a lot of neglect of the deeper aspects of the Fuller syllabus by the boomers, for example. So if you're coming across a boomer, and I'm a boomer, and they want to impress you that they know something about Bucky Fuller, find out if they're a basket case. That's a joke, because basket actually is beast modules plus K module, right? Basket. If they can't talk about the beast modules at all, then they're probably very only superficially aware of the Bucky stuff, I would say. It's kind of a litmus test. You're going to find a lot of kind of has-been pseudophysics, sort of string theory types trying to use synergetics as a kind of physics or something. They're going to try to go out there and make a name for themselves in pseudophysics, and that's tiresome. And if you're one of the physicists getting these letters lecturing you and hectoring you about Bucky Fuller, I'm sorry about that. I'm not the source of that. My writing is on the web. You can see what I've written over the years, and I'm not really like that myself because I understand that synergetics is a work in the humanities. It's not meant to be read as particle physics specifically, even if it does talk about mesons in maybe one page or something. But anyway, the rant is coming to an end. I just want you to check out Synergetics University. There's conscious awareness of Marshall McLuhan there in the blogs. There's an understanding of Canadian influence. Coxeter, Canadian. Escher's son, actually Canadian, figures in one of the stories about Fuller and Coxeter. There's a lot of good stories hiding behind this curriculum or embedded in this curriculum. I really encourage you to go deeper and enjoy yourselves and study Cascadian history while you're at it. Talk to you later.